Shubho Navabarsha to everyone present here today. So before we begin the event formally, I would like to request Srimati Madhumita Manna. She is the sign language interpreter from Rehabilitation Council of India. She has been invited so that she can explain in sign language to everybody whatever event is going to happen now. Thank you, ma'am. We are all aware that today marks an auspicious occasion, that is Poila Boishakh, a day that signifies new beginning, renewed hope, and boundless positivity. And what a better way to celebrate this day than by inaugurating an exhibition that embodies hope itself. Interestingly, the brainstorming for this exhibition was conceived in April. Yes, this very month, but in the year 2021, when the second wave of COVID was hitting India, right here in Kolkata, along with the team of Disanji who joined us online. It is a meaningful coincidence that the concluding chapter of this exhibition is also unfolding in the same city. On this special day, we are honored to be joined by esteemed dignitaries from various fields. So without further delay, I would now like to invite all our distinguished guests to kindly join us on the dais. Thank you, everyone. Now we will felicitate our dignitaries. I would request Director General Sir of National Council of Science Museum to felicitate our dignitaries. First, I would like to request our DG Sir to felicitate Sri Parthapratim Majumdar, National Science Chair, Scientific Excellence, Government of India. Now I would like to request our DG Sir to felicitate Now I would like to request our DG Sir to felicitate our chief guest for this evening, Padma Shri Professor Dr. Balram Bhargava, former Director General, Indian Council of Medical Research. I would now like to request our DG Sir to please felicitate Dr. Kunal Sarkar, Senior Vice Chairman, Director and Head of Cardiac Surgery, Medica Super Speciality Hospital. Next, I would again request Sir to please felicitate Dr. Madhumita Roy, ex-head of Department, Senior Scientific Officer, Environmental Carcinogenesis and Toxicology, Chittaranjan National Cancer Center, Kolkata. Thank you, sir. Sir, please take your seat, sir. Now I will request our Deputy Director General, Sir, Sri Samrendra Kumar, to please felicitate Dr. Roger Highfield, Director, Science, SMG, London. I would again request our Deputy Director General, Sir, to please felicitate Dr. Devanjan Chakrabarti, Director, British Council, East and Northeast India. Now I will request our Director, Science City, Sri Anurag Kumar, to felicitate and welcome Director General, Sir, NCSM. I will again request him to please felicitate our Deputy Director General, Sir, Sri Samrendra Kumar, NCSM. Now it is time that I request all our dignitaries to light the ceremonial lamp and formally begin the event on a positive and sacred note. Thank you, everyone. Now, it is my privilege to request Sri Arijit Datta Chaudhary, Director General, National Council of Science Museum, to please give his welcome address. Sir.
Namaskar, very good morning to all of you here, and warm greetings it is my absolute pleasure to welcome Professor Partha Pratim Mazumdar, National Science Chair, Scientific Excellence, Government of India, Dr. Roger Highfield, Director Science, Science Museum Group, London. Thank you for coming all the way from London for this program. Dr. Kunal Sarkar, Senior Vice Chairman, Director and Head of Cardiac Surgery, Medica Super Specialty Hospital, Kolkata. Dr. Madhumita Roy, Head and Senior Scientific Officer, Department of Environmental Carcinogenesis and Toxicology, Chittaranjan National Cancer Institute, Kolkata. Dr. Debanjan Chakravarti, Director, British Council East and Northeast. My colleagues, Mr. Samarendra Kumar, Deputy DG NCSM, and Sri Anurag Kumar, Director, Science City. A heartfelt welcome to all our distinguished scientists, researchers, guests. We have gathered here for a very significant occasion. As I mentioned, the inauguration of the ship feels incredibly natural. Both our institutions share the same mission to bring science to the people and make it relatable, engaging, and impactful. This isn't the first time that we are collaborating. We have opened an exhibition in 2019 on superbugs, the end of antibiotics, an exhibition that traveled across India, 4 metro cities, reaching to thousands of people and creating the much needed conversations about antibiotic resistance, a growing crisis that threatens global health. Its impact was truly remarkable, and especially for the young visitors. Similarly, building on the momentum of the previous exhibition, Vaccines Injecting Hope was developed, as my colleague was mentioning, right in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, where extensive interactions happened between my colleagues in NCSM as well as the Science Museum Group in UK. And through this collaborative effort, we could launch this exhibition initially in Delhi. It then traveled to Nagpur, Mumbai, Bangalore, and finally reached Kolkata. And I hope this exhibition will bring in a lot of youngsters to see this exhibition. I also urge students from the medical field to also come and visit this exhibition. I'm sure there'll be a lot of new learnings, and also we'll be able to cherish the efforts that our scientists, our medical fraternity has taken for developing a vaccine here in our country. And we are extremely fortunate that we have with us today Professor Dr. Balram Bhargav, who spearheaded this vaccine development program in our country at the height of COVID-19 pandemic. We have, and many of us, we were closely watching the TV news and different programs which happened during the COVID. We have seen him interacting, and I think the amount of effort he and his team has taken has saved lakhs and lakhs of lives in our country. This exhibition would not have been possible without the support of the partners. Welcome UK, ICMR, the British Council India, and of course the dedicated team from NCSM and the Science Museum Group London, who have worked hand in hand in developing this exhibition. I'm also glad to inform that very recently we have signed an MOU with the Science Museum Group, and we expect to do many more collaborative programs in the years to come. I think these two major exhibitions have created immense confidence amongst both these organizations, and we are keen that we take this forward so that we come up with more meaningful exhibitions which will be relevant for the global public at large. Very recently, as part of this collaboration, a team from India interacted with the Science Museum Group team, and several people visited UK last month to continue in this interactive activity. I'm sure similar collaborations, similar interactive activities will continue, and it will benefit both NCSM and the Science Museum Group. With these few words, I once again welcome all of you here today. After this inaugural program, we'll be visiting the exhibition. I request all of you who are here to share your experience, pass on a good word about this exhibition so that, especially for the young children who have come from different schools, please share this with your friends so that they can get an opportunity to come and see this exhibition. Inform your parents, your teachers, and I'm sure the purpose for which this exhibition has been developed would be met only when youngsters like you come and visit and go back with some new knowledge. Thank you once again, and I wish a lot of success for this exhibition here in Kolkata. Jai Hind.
General Sir, Sri Samrendra Kumar, to give an overview of this exhibition and other collaborations with SMG. Thank you.
Namaskar and good morning to all of you, and Shubh Navarsha, greeting to on the occasion of Bengali New Year. Distinguished guests sitting on the dais, Professor Balram Bhargav, Padma Shri awardee and the former DG of ICMR, a visionary in public health and a guiding light in India's vaccination program. Professor Partha Majumdar, the National Science Chair and also the Chairman of the Advisory Committee of the India leg of this Vaccine India exhibition. Dr. Roger Highfield, the Director of Science, Science Museum Group London, whose leadership in science communication has transcended borders. Dr. Kunal Sarkar, the Senior Vice Chairman, Director, Head of Cardiac Surgery, Medica Super Specialty Hospital, and an eminent name in clinical excellence and public health advocacy. Dr. Madhumita Ray, a dedicated researcher whose work continued to impact lives at the National Cancer Center. Dr. Devandan Chakravarti, Director, British Council, East and Northeast India, a key collaborator in strengthening the Indo-UK educational and cultural ties. Sri A.D. Chaudhary, DG NCSM, who has always been a guiding force and encouraged us and supported us to have such collaboration with Science Museum Group for developing great exhibitions. And my colleague, Sri Anurag Kumar, Director, Science City, Kolkata, whose tireless efforts have brought this exhibition to life here in this iconic Science City space. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, my dear colleagues from NCSM, young friends and friends from the media. It's really a pleasure for me to be here, and I'm extremely delighted to be present for this momentous occasion of the last leg of the inauguration of this Vaccine India exhibition, of which I was a part from right from the beginning when in year 2021, we started to discuss about this exhibition and how it translated, and then in 2022 in November, we opened this exhibition. So I remember those days where we have been talking how to develop this exhibition, and in the exhibition Injecting Hope came, the name came little later because it started with, the exhibition name was called Hunt for the Vaccine. And then when we were, because in 2021 when we were discussing that, it was called Hunt for the Vaccine. But by that time when India was progressing and under the leadership of Professor Balram Bhargav and the entire team of ICMR, people were working on India's vaccine. So then we changed that exhibition name, Injecting Hope, and I think it was liked by this whole group because there are 3 exhibitions with this name, one in India, one in UK, and one in China. So the UK exhibition leg is also ending in April. I think we went to Edinburgh. It is ending in Edinburgh, the 5th leg of that exhibition. So this exhibition is more than a display. It is a celebration of science, collaboration, and the indomitable human spirit in the face of crisis. It is a tribute to countless scientists, researchers, health workers, institutions across the globe who came together to combat one of the most challenging health crises of our times, because we have lived this COVID period all along that. We are immensely proud of the journey of this exhibition, which started in New Delhi, and then moved to Mumbai, then moved to Nagpur, then Mumbai, then Bangalore, and now it is coming to Kolkata after traveling several kilometers there. We have seen that this exhibition has been seen by 18.3 lakh visitors so far, till Bangalore. And we hope that we will cross 20 lakh, means 2 million people when this exhibition ends in Kolkata. And furthermore, it has reached out to more than 26.5 lakh people through our digital and social media network. So it's a big platform. It's a big achievement for the exhibition that a lot of people have seen this exhibition either physically or through digital media. And it is spreading awareness, igniting curiosity, and reaffirming trust in science. This overwhelming response is a testimony to the power of public engagement in science. It highlights the vital role that museums, educators, and communicators play in making complex scientific concepts accessible and relatable to all. As the exhibition continues its journey, we are thrilled to host it here in Kolkata, a city renowned for its rich scientific legacy and inquisitive spirit. We hope it will inspire young minds, inform citizens, and encourage critical conversations around science and health. We'll have a lot of programs during this 5-month period and probably go beyond that. And we will invite school students, medical college students. In fact, I have got the feedback that when the doctors have seen from AIIMS, when they especially went to the Delhi exhibition, they were thrilled to see this exhibition. And in fact, in Bombay, when the doctors saw that, they told that they have never seen such kind of very interesting aspects of the vaccines and how the things works there together, how the virus and the thing works there. So it is for all. It is for not only for the students, young mind, but it is for all people across. I would like to take this opportunity to thank our partners, the Science Museum Group, the London, the British Council, the Wellcome Trust, the ICMR India, because at that time they were really helpful in developing this exhibition. We have got a lot of artifacts from them, and several collaborating exhibitions and individuals in India. For their continued support and vision, together we have created a platform that informs, educates, and uplifts. Some names which I cannot forget that, which comes to my mind when I look back to the days when we are developing and curating the exhibition. Dr. Balaram Bhargava, who has given his voice for one of the piece here in the exhibition. Dr. Priya Abraham, at that time he was director NIV Pune. Dr. Pragya Yadav, Dr. Nivedita Gupta from ICMR. And you will not believe that if you have seen a film called Vaccine War, all these people have been described there because they are part of that film, The Vaccine War, and it was very well narrative for that. There were several scientists, workers, COVID warriors, and general public whom we interacted with them, collected a lot of materials from them, and they became part of this exhibition. When you see this exhibition, you'll come to know this. From Science Museum Group, we have a very dedicated team led by Sir Ian, Dr. Roger, who is here, who has written a piece in our brochure also. Mr. Sheldon Packman, Ms. Helen Jones, Ms. Salini Narayan, who is here in the audience, and a lot of people from the British Council. Dr. Devanji is already there, and other people, and several curators, designers, and communicators who were part of this exhibition. I really thank to them for being part of this exhibition and helped us in curating this exhibition. We have several things coming up next. And I hope that this journey continues, the bond between the Science Museum Group and NCSM to continue further. And the strengthening of bond is very important, that we have something in mind. Probably it will be narrated by Dr. Roger. Hopefully it's there. As we inaugurate the exhibition today, let us celebrate the triumph of science, the resilience of humanity, and the hope that vaccines have brought to millions. I would like to urge the people of Kolkata to visit this exhibition and experience the journey of life. And I hope when you go back with this, when you see the exhibition, you will go back very good memories, and probably a lot of memories which were there at that time, it will be forgotten, but you will love to know what the science talks about. It's really a story of science of the vaccines. Thank you once again, Jai Hind, and I hope that you will enjoy the exhibition. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now, in order to know that the views of Director, Science Museum Group London, Mr. Roger Highfield, I would like to request him to come, but before that, I would like to introduce him to the audience. Roger Highfield was born in Wales, raised in North London, and became the first person to bounce a neutron off a soap bubble. He was the science editor of the Daily Telegraph for 2 decades and the editor of the New Scientist between 2008 and 11. Today, he is the science director of the Science Museum Group, fellow of Royal Academy of Engineering, Royal Society of Biology and Academy of Medical Sciences, a visiting professor of public engagement at the Dunn School, University of Oxford, and Department of Chemistry, UCL, and a member of the UKRI Medical Research Council. Roger has written 10 books and had thousands of articles published in newspaper and magazine. It is my honor to welcome Roger Highfield to give his address.
Thank you. What a lovely welcome. Well, it's been my first trip to the City of Joy. In fact, I only arrived in the small hours of yesterday, and it really was a joy, actually, when I visited the Burla Industrial and Technological Museum yesterday, and I was delighted to see a Vaccines Injecting Hope bus parked outside. That's the first one I've seen in the wild, and it's a wonderful example of the creativity of our partners here. And it was a timely reminder of how far we've come in the 5 years since we started thinking about what we were going to do to mark the COVID crisis. We launched a major collecting program at the start of the pandemic in the Science Museum, and as we've heard, then ideas started to crystallize about what exhibition we should hold. It became Hunt for the Vaccine, and then Injecting Hope, and Vaccines Injecting Hope here. And of course, we wanted to describe how the world went on this extraordinary journey when it was thrown into turmoil by a virus on the borderline of life that's only 125 billionths of a meter across. And we wanted to talk about how the starting pistol was really fired when China released the genetic code of the virus in January 2020, and vaccine teams around the world started to develop a way to deal with the virus. Clearly, India played an absolutely central role, not least because it's the home of the mighty Serum Institute. And I must admit, I put my skills as a writer to good use. I wrote something like 130,000 words of blogs recording the ins and outs of the development of the pandemic. But the exhibition is not just about the code and the spike protein and the efforts to create vaccines to prime the human immune system. It's a brilliant example of what's possible when science storytelling and collaboration, international collaboration, collide. And thank you so much to Mr. Chowdhury, to Sam Kumar and everyone at the National Council of Science Museums who've been absolutely brilliant partners. Thanks also to the British Council, Dr. Chakrabarti and the British High Commission, and to the Wellcome Trust who funded the international aspect of this project. And the hope was that it was going to be seen by another 2 million people, and that hope has been way exceeded by reality. As the chair of the advisory board for the UK edition of what we called Injecting Hope, thank you to Shahid Jamil of Ashoka University for his advice on the board. And of course, here we are in Science City on the last stop of a 5-stop tour in India. We've had 4 venues in China. We've had 3 in the UK. And I think at the end of all of this remarkable exhibition will have been seen by something like 5 million people. So that's well in excess of the Welcome's target. But there's even more, because it will go to Brazil as well. As has been alluded to by some of my colleagues here, we've done a range of projects with India very firmly in our minds at the Science Museum Group. Illuminating India, we've heard about superbugs on antimicrobial resistance, of course Injecting Hope, and our Energy Revolution Gallery, and we've signed an MOU recently with the National Council of Science Museums, so I'm sure that even more and even better is yet to come. So on behalf of myself, Sir Ian Blatchford and Sir Tim Lawrence and all of my colleagues at the Science Museum Group, very many thanks. It's a delight to be here, and thank you for such a warm and wonderful welcome. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Now we have heard about the experience of this exhibition from the people from museums. Now we are going to listen something from doctors. To begin with, I feel delighted to welcome Dr. Madhumita Roy. Now, she is a distinguished scientist and the leader in the field of cancer research. Dr. Roy is the head and senior scientific officer in the Department of Environmental Carcinogenesis and Toxicology. She retired as assistant director from Chittaranjan National Cancer Institute, Kolkata. With a focus on environmental carcinogenesis and the toxicological aspects of cancer, Dr. Roy's pioneering work has greatly contributed to understand the environmental factors influencing cancer development, with particular emphasis on arsenic calamity in West Bengal. She has led several research projects aimed at identifying carcinogenic agents in our environment and their implications for public health, and their preventions using dietary factors. Besides cancer chemopreservation, she also looked into the potential of these phytonutrients as chemo-enhancer. She has published over 100 research articles in reputed international journals and has written 2 books published by Springer and several book chapters. Please put your hand together to welcome Dr. Madhumita Roy.
Thank you for the kind words, and Shubho Noboborsho, the Bengali New Year. I am thankful to Dr. Anurag Kumar, Director, Science City, Kolkata, which is a constituent unit of the National Council of Science Museums under the Ministry of Culture, Government of India, for inviting me here at the inauguration of this international exhibition. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, there are lots of boys and girls from schools, and all respected dignitaries. I am honored to be here at the opening of the exhibition titled Vaccines Injecting Hope. This is very important to foster a scientific temperament among students and citizens of our country. What I'll speak is mainly for the students and their parents. Students are the future of our nation, and they play a pivotal role in the progress and development of our country. They are the next generation of leaders, innovators, and problem solvers, and their education and development directly impact a nation's future. Students actively contribute to the development of the nation through their participation in various fields, including science, technology, business, and arts. Therefore, good health is crucial for students because it directly impacts the ability to learn, focus, and thrive academically as well as emotionally. Now coming to the title of the exhibition, Vaccines Injecting Hope. So what are vaccines? In a lucid language, a vaccine is a medical product that helps our body fight disease by stimulating our immune system. Vaccination is a simple, safe, and effective way of protecting us against harmful diseases before we come into contact with them. It uses our body's natural defenses to build resistance to specific infections and makes our immune system stronger. Vaccines are vital for averting future pandemics because they train the immune system to recognize and fight off specific pathogens like viruses, bacteria, etc., before they cause severe illness. By developing widespread immunity through vaccination, we can reduce the spread of infections and protect vulnerable populations from severe complications. Thus, they are crucial for averting future pandemics because they develop widespread immunity through vaccination. In a simple language, I can say that harmless versions of a virus or bacteria are introduced into the body, triggering an immune response without causing illness. This allows the body to develop memory cells that can quickly recognize and fight off the actual pathogen if it encounters later. When a large percentage of the population is vaccinated, it is much harder for an infectious disease to spread, and this is known as herd immunity. During the COVID pandemic time, we are talking about herd immunity, when it will come. Vaccines can impart long-lasting protection against certain diseases, infections, reducing the risk of future outbreaks, thereby protecting a vulnerable population from complications. Vaccination is one of the most important public health initiatives in any country or society, and vaccines train the immune system in our bodies to identify intruders, bacteria, virus, and other pathogens that attack us from time to time. We all know the success of vaccination programs around the world, particularly in India. Childhood vaccination programs have eliminated several debilitating diseases like polio, measles, smallpox, whooping cough, etc. These are caused by viruses, and diphtheria, tetanus, tuberculosis, etc., caused by bacteria. The childhood vaccination program in India has been so successful that we have been able to eliminate many of the diseases almost completely. Biggest success story is the elimination of the deadly smallpox disease. In recent times, we have seen the effectiveness of vaccination for COVID-19. The rapid response by the Government of India in rolling out vaccines for COVID-19 saved innumerable lives. In case of cancer, the situation is a little bit complicated, which has made it more difficult to develop vaccines to prevent cancer. Viral infections are responsible for the development of several cancers, and preventive vaccines play an important role in reducing the risk. Several vaccines have been developed that can prevent HBV and HPV infection, and as a result, protect against formation of HBV and HPV-related cancer. As for example, cervical cancer and head and neck cancer can be caused by HPV, that is human papillomavirus, whereas liver cancer can be caused by hepatitis B virus or HBV. However, we can never be complacent, and unvaccinated child bears the risks of contracting diseases that are preventable. Childhood vaccination is freely available, and we need to spread the message and remind everywhere that these vaccines are very important for protecting our children from these diseases. We can never stop spreading this message, as children are born every day, and it is our responsibility, parents' responsibility, to ensure they grow up in good health. Vaccine awareness is crucial for children and parents because it empowers informed decisions about protecting children's health. Every parent must understand the benefits and risks of vaccines, promoting adherence to immunization schedules and safeguarding children against potentially serious life-threatening diseases. I hope this exhibition will help to spread this message even more effectively. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Yes, it is very true that vaccines has been a game changer, not only in the past, but it will be in the future. Now, the next speaker for today, whom I'm going to invite, is very well known and very close to NCSM. We have received a lot of help, lot of advice during the development of the content for this particular exhibition. Yes, I'm talking about Professor Partha Pratim Majumdar, National Science Chair, Scientific Excellence, Government of India. A little bit of introduction about him. Professor Partha Pratim Majumdar is one of India's foremost scientists in the field of human genetics and statistical genomics. He currently serves as National Science Chair, Scientific Excellence, awarded by Government of India in recognition of his exceptional contributions to biomedical research. He was the founding director of the National Institute of Biomedical Genomics, NIBMG, and has held key positions at the Indian Statistical Institute, ISI, Kolkata, and Indian Institute of Science, Education and Research, ISER. His research has been foundational in uncovering the genetic basis of complex diseases and mapping the rich genetic diversity of Indian population. Professor Majumdar is an elected fellow of all three major Indian science academics, as well as the World Academy of Sciences, TWAS, and the International Statistical Institute. He is the recipient of several prestigious awards, including the G.D. Birla Award for Scientific Research and the TWAS Biology Prize. It is really my privilege to request Professor Partha Pratim Majumdar to deliver his address. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I thank the National Council for Science Museums to ask me to be present on this occasion. It's really been my pleasure working with them in setting up this exhibition that we are going to witness today, which has traveled throughout India and is now come to its last destination, which is Kolkata, where it was actually thought through and thought about. I want to start with a little bit of personal reminiscence. Turn of the millennium, year 2000, many of us know that there is a newspaper in Calcutta, published from Calcutta, called The Telegraph, that brings out on every Monday. It used to be a pull-out, no longer. Space for science is reducing in national newspapers, which is a shame. But at that time, there was a pull-out called Know-How in The Telegraph, and they had asked some of us to write what we thought about the future or what would happen in the millennium. I wrote an article, and the first sentence that I wrote in that article was, I'm lucky to have been born with antibiotics and vaccines around. That was the first sentence that I wrote. Last year, we mounted this exhibition called Superbugs, which is all about antibiotic resistance of microbes. So, and today we are mounting this particular exhibition, or we're inaugurating this exhibition in the city, Injecting Hope, which is all about vaccines. But we also know that there are lots of non-responders to vaccines, and right now there is a global movement against vaccines, and I'll come to that in a minute. So it's really been my pleasure, and I really think that vaccines have played a major role in saving lives. All of us have lived through the pandemic, the COVID pandemic, and we have one of the heroes of India present on the days, Professor Balram Bhargav, who actually played a lead role in seeing to it that India becomes the powerhouse for manufacture of vaccines, dissemination of vaccines, not within the country, but globally. And we are very, very proud that he is here with us to open the last leg of this exhibition in Kolkata, Professor Balram Bhargav, and I'm very glad that he is here. We have known each other for many years, but this is the role that he played during the COVID pandemic, something that we'll not forget. He was the Director General of the Indian Council of Medical Research and the Secretary of the Department of Health Research of the Government of India. As I was saying, that there is no debate about the fact that vaccines save lives, and we have seen how many lives vaccines have saved. Yet, we are now hearing this anti-vax movement, as it is called, don't take vaccines, which is a complete shame, because if you do not take vaccines, many of these people who are promoting anti-vaccine rallies or spearheading these rallies are saying that herd immunity will kick in, you don't have to take vaccines. Herd immunity does not kick in unless a large fraction of the population is actually vaccinated. It does not kick in, and we can prove that. We can prove that mathematically, that it will not kick in unless a certain fraction of the vulnerable population is actually vaccinated and has circulating antibodies against the pathogen. So this anti-vax movement is going in different places, is growing, unfortunately, but we should all remember that it's the hope that all of us have in combating these pathogens. These are the vaccines, and newfound vaccines will come into play in combating these pathogens. There is also a movement. The year 2023 saw a Nobel Prize for discovery of the RNA vaccines, mRNA vaccines. And today there is a movement. The National Institutes of Health has cut out research on mRNA vaccines, which is again a shame. We can go into the reasons as to why they are cutting out mRNA vaccine research, primarily saying that two things. Number one, it's not efficacious, completely wrong. Second thing that they're saying is that it is anti-religious. Why? Because it uses fetal cells in order to manufacture these vaccines. Completely wrong. It does not use fetal cells. It does not use cells from abortuses to manufacture the vaccines. What it does is there is a cell line that's been actually manufactured or actually developed from an aborted fetus, kidney cells of an aborted fetus, and that's where it is tested. It's not manufactured using aborted cells. So it's not even, it doesn't actually impinge on anybody's religion at all. But this is what is being propagated. So there is a lot of anti-vaccine propaganda. Please do not trust any of that propaganda. It's all completely wrong. Vaccines do inject hope, and vaccines is our hope to combat not just communicable diseases. Dr. Roy just talked about cancers and vaccines. As a matter of fact, cancer vaccine research is something that's right there. Cancer cells are recognized by the common body as foreign cells, and the immune cells go and attack those foreign cells that actually form the cancer cells. And therefore, there is hope that there will be vaccines against many forms of cancer, not just those cancers that are due to pathogens such as the human papillomavirus or the HBV, but even those cancers that are actually not because of these pathogens or not because of these communicable agents, even against those, probably there will be vaccines against those forms of cancer. So vaccines are injecting hope. Vaccines are our hope to combat many of the public health problems that we face, and we must learn what vaccines are all about, how vaccine research has gone on, and this particular exhibition has all of the history of the vaccines and also talks about where the future is leading to. So please do visit this exhibition and convince yourself that vaccines are our only hope. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Yes, vaccine hesitancy has been a big problem, not only in the past, but in the present time, and a lot of effort is needed to remove it. During the making of this exhibition, we thought that in order to communicate the message of the exhibition to the masses, we must employ different mediums, and one of the strongest medium is art. We have got a big art sculpture, which is really fantastic. You must all see that in this exhibition. And a big thanks to British Council who supported us for this. And the person is with us, Dr. Devanjan Chakraborty. He is the Director, British Council East and Northeast India. We are really honored to have him. And he is basically in the research advisory lead for South Asia, a leading voice in the India-UK corridor. He brings over 20 years of experience, including 9 at the C-suite level in education, culture, and creative economy. As UK lead for the G20 culture track in 2023 and a board member of British Council's Global Creative Economy program, he has shaped impactful partnership across government and institutions. Sir has spearheaded landmark initiatives such as the creative economy mapping of Durga Puja and a multilingualism study aligned with National Education Policy 2020, a PhD from the University of Reading. He is also a former journalist and a strong advocate for educational reform through media, with his film English for All garnering over 70,000 views. He is a triple gold medalist from Jadavpur University and an active contributor to national and international education forums. I feel delighted to welcome Sir to have his address. Thank you.
Namaskar, and even as I speak, we are taking over to good afternoon. So, good afternoon. Shubho Noboborsher Antorik Priti o Shubhecha Janai Shobaike. Today we gather here dot the arrival of the Bengali New Year. It's year 1432. Not very many cultures across the world have not just one, but 2 New Years to celebrate. So here in India, many of us are incredibly fortunate to celebrate 2 New Years. And across the globe, cultures embrace the New Year with a sense of hope, which makes today the perfect backdrop to unveil Vaccines Now, Injecting Hope, for this city of Kolkata and its resilient people. So let's give a big round of applause to our main partners who have made this possible. Thank you to National Council of Science Museums and Science Museums Group. My heartfelt thanks to the National Council of Science Museum, represented by the remarkable Orijit Datta Chaudhary, Director General, and Mr. Samarendra Kumar, Deputy Director General. You clearly understand the gravity of scientific curiosity, and trust me, Kolkata appreciates you more than an engineer appreciates Wi-Fi. And a very special thanks for this morning's initiative to have a sign language interpreter to make this program so much more inclusive. Many of you in this audience would know that Kolkata has earned its status as India's top city for scientific research according to Nature Journal 2024 Index of Global Cities of Science, elevating us to a respectable 84th place. Institutions like the Science City and the National Council of Science Museum play a pivotal role in inspiring young minds to cultivate lifelong passion for science. You're not just the building base of the pyramid, you're crafting the entire landscape for future innovation. A very special shout out to Science Museum London, the Science Museum Group, represented by Dr. Roger Highfield and Shalini Narayan. And without you, this wouldn't have been possible. And I'll come back to the Science Museum exhibition in a moment. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank Wellcome Trust, who have been one of the major funders for not just this, but many similar collaborations in the past. The impact of this particular exhibition has won the main brains behind this initiative, significant awards. I was delighted that Dr. Samrinder Kumar was awarded the Senior Fellowship from the Science Museum Group. And his name is there with none other than absolute luminaries in the field. And I was there in London last summer when Sir Ian Blatchford picked up the award from India Global Forum for being one of the outstanding institutions for forging India-UK cultural relations through science. So today is a wonderful opportunity to celebrate your honors, sir. Now turning a page to our creative collaborators, the Delhi-based sculptor Sushank Kumar and London-based playwright Nigel Townsend. You heard about the sculpture that graces this particular exhibition, and the contributions of Sushank and Nigel, supported by the British Council, adds a touch of artistic flair to this exhibition and helps bring a different dimension to how we engage with science. These works of art reflect the global challenge of vaccine development through personal stories of resilience. This exhibition in particular was a highlight of British Council's India-UK Together Season of Culture, a fantastic celebration of 75 years of India's independence by both our nations, showcasing the enduring cultural bonds that unite us while confronting our shared values. This particular traveling exhibition, as we have heard, has already impacted nearly 2 million lives directly, and through social media, we are nearing about 3 million people across India. And it's traveling to three countries to begin with: India, the UK, and China. This is really a monumental achievement. It's like the Olympics of exhibitions, just with slightly less running and sprinting. Now let me reflect briefly on some of the key junctures in the India-UK health partnership that support the India-UK roadmap, and this exhibition also throws a light on the bigger story. India and UK have just developed not one malaria vaccine, but two. The collaboration with Serum Institute of India has led to the COVID vaccine and has been administered to more than 1.3 billion people worldwide. The India-UK collaboration to the contribution of Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, has an impressive £1.65 billion commitment between 2021 to 2025. There's also the game-changing meningitis vaccine, the first to tackle type X. And not to forget the work of the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness and Innovation, CEPI, on numerous vaccine initiatives. As we look forward to the horizon, our vision remains fixed on creating fair, sustainable, and effective health systems that prioritize prevention over treatment. Because let's face it, who wouldn't want to avoid a trip to the doctor? With due apologies to Kunalda here. In conclusion, let me share a very personal reflection from my visit to the vaccines exhibition in Science Museum in London. I was very lucky enough to be guided around the exhibition by Shalini here, who's sitting in the second row. Among the artifacts on display was a very ordinary laptop, Dell laptop, just like the one I use at work. Beside this laptop was an image of that very laptop on a desk overlooking a quaint garden. And this was used by one of the major researchers from Oxford during the lockdown to work on the AstraZeneca vaccine. That image of a simple everyday laptop that changed the world for the better has left an indelible mark on my mind. I have no doubt that each visitor to this momentous exhibition will take away a similarly indelible, incredible memory. Dhanyabad, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Well, we all know that whenever we wanted to deliver a strong message, we need big influencers. And we are really happy, delighted that one of the person whom I follow a lot, I am talking about him, and he is going to deliver his address next. Yes, I'm talking about Dr. Kunal Sarkar, Senior Vice Chairman, Director and Head of Cardiac Surgery, Medical Super Specialty Hospital. To know a little bit about our speaker, he born into a technocratic industrial family in Kolkata. His father, late Bibhuti Bhushan Sarkar, migrated from Chittagong after being imprisoned for being a part of Surya Sen's Chittagong armed constabulary raid. One of the leading cardiac surgeons of India and the past president of Indian Association of Cardiothoracic Surgeons, IACTC. He is the leading exponent of coronary bypass surgery and complex adult cardiac operations. Currently, he is the Senior Vice Chairman and Chief Cardiac Surgeon of Medica Hospitals Private Limited, Kolkata, and Chairman, Kolkata Heart Foundation. He was the Vice President and Chief Cardiac Surgeon of Narayana Rudalaya Group of Hospitals from 2001 to 2012, Rabindranath Tagore Institute of Cardiac Sciences, Kolkata, India. He, along with Dr. Devi Sethi, nurtured a startup into one of India's largest cardiac programs, trained and worked in cardiac surgery in UK, London, Liverpool, Hull for more than 10 years between 1986 and 1996. He is a national scholar and recipient of 11 medals in surgery, including the gold medal. As we all know, he is an avid debater since school and college days at St. Xavier's Collegiate School and Medical College, Kolkata. He founded the Calcutta Debating Circle, which hosts Calcutta's Festival of Spoken Word, which is the largest debating festival in India. He pursues healthcare concerns and policy discussions, speaks across the country on different issues, and contributes to publication in English and Bengali. He has been on the forefront of public awareness during the pandemic across Bengal and national media. He has been one of the most prominent spokesperson in the Bengali media during the pandemic and has recently published his much acclaimed The Sickness of Health, which narrates the journey of Indian healthcare. Please put your hand together to welcome Dr. Kunal Sarkar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for a very gracious, kind, generous introduction. To all the dignitaries in the dais, you see, doctors who are generally considered to be stupid are not called in very serious scientific gatherings, but somehow a mistake has been made this afternoon, and for the next few minutes you have to live with this mistake. Now, science, you are in the Science Museum, and science is a very funny subject. And science is a funny subject simply because if you consider the first important discovery known in civilization, which was the discovery of fire, discovery of fire predates the origin of the modern anatomical human being by almost 1 million years. So science had evolved itself even before the modern anatomical human beings, the Homo sapiens, announced themselves in the planet. We were talking about vaccination. Edward Jenner discovers vaccination, or really, he fulfills the first vaccination of the 13-year-old boy with the extract from the cowpox fluid. 100 years before Robert Koch postulates how microbacteria causes disease. Leonardo da Vinci discovers and narrates the structure of the heart 120 years before William Harvey discovers circulation. So science has always been very provocative. Science has had a way of its own. And science, through vaccination, has once again expressed itself in how knowledge could equate itself with society. It is through the leadership of entities like ICMR. It is through the leadership, when we talk about Jenner, it is the Jenner Institute in Oxford that really innovated on the Chadox vaccine, which became so popular as the vaccine discovered, which was manufactured in India later on. Professor Majumdar was talking about anti-vaxxers. I think Edward Jenner had his share of opposition from the anti-vaxxers even in the early 18th century. So all that has been a part of life. But what has been the demand and the calling of Indian society is the way we have applied science to our lives, is the way we were able to execute and implement 200 crore vaccinations in India. What is important in the Indian society is how we have been able to vaccinate. The largest public vaccination program that happens anywhere on the face of the planet happens in this country. And to all of you youngsters, you live in a generation, you live in an era where digital technology through the AI generation, you see we are witnessing right in front of ourselves an amalgamation of science, where life sciences, data sciences, chemistry, physics, everything is really entering into a phase of fusion. We have talked about the mRNA vaccine. When the three-dimensional structure of the mRNA vaccine was stuck for months and months, it was through the AI algorithm that the three-dimensional structure of the mRNA vaccine was finally unfurled over a matter of 48 hours. It has been 40 years since the last antibiotic has been discovered, and one of the newest molecules that has hit the brands right now, I think the molecule is called Halicon, which is once again, it has been enabled by the three-dimensional protein structural analysis, which is AI generated. So science has got to come and meet the demands of life. And we in India have felt this necessity over and over again. A lot of work, Debanjan has referred to the malaria vaccine. A lot of work remains to be done with malaria vaccine, because one area of preventive health that we have not really excelled in is when malaria, after almost eradication, rebounded back on the Indian society. A lot of work remains to be done about prevention of tuberculosis, because when we talk about the 40,000 deaths that happens in India every day we lose 40,000 people in this country. And still, about 7% of deaths every day is due to tuberculosis, which is almost a forgotten and a very old-fashioned disease. We are still awaiting that how vaccines will make effective the prevention of dengue in India. It is a seasonal scourge. It comes back to us repeatedly. So once again, as we celebrate the great achievements we had during COVID, yes, COVID was frightening. Till, I think, 16th of January 2021, the first vaccination was done in India. The entire medical community was petrified because it is the first time in our lives we were facing a respiratory pandemic to which the human body had no immunity whatsoever. But as we emerge from the relative success of the vaccination, I think at every point we have to remind ourselves that the work that remains to be done. Professor Roy has already referred to you that vaccination is taking a completely different dimension through the cancer vaccination. Myself, from the cardiac domain, I'm very excited because Professor Majumdar will know there is something called the CRISPR technology. Through the CRISPR technology, we are looking at a very small molecule called CPSK9. And the CPSK9, when one day given as a single dose to an individual, will be probably a definitive cure for the hyperlipidemia from which millions and millions of people of this country suffers. So vaccination is moving away from the microbial domain into the metabolic domain, into the oncology domain. So times are very interesting and times are very challenging as the application of science extends itself. And for all of you youngsters sitting over here, India, through its evolution, somehow missed out on the Industrial Revolution. But I am absolutely sure that India will not miss out on this era of the digital revolution. And in India today, there is a project happening, like you have the vaccination, the vaccination campaign over here. Go back home, hit your laptops and find out on something called Adbhut Bharat. And in Adbhut Bharat, all the youngsters are getting together. They are coding, they are working at the algorithms. We have to have your ideas, and your ideas will have to be applied to this society. It is no good for us to throw fancy molecules, because at the end of the day, each and everything we do has to be applied to the life of the common man and make a difference to that common man when he wakes up tomorrow morning. We, in the field of applied medicine, this year India would have performed the largest number of heart surgeries done anywhere in the world. But still, for our population, we are doing less than half of what we are supposed to do. A lot of work remains to be done. The field of vaccination, the field of public health in India, as we are aware of the work cut out in front of us, let us feel proud, because we are a part of the country. When we became independent, you referred to independence. When we became independent, we had a life expectancy of 39 years. There is no other country on the face of the planet who, in a matter of 7 decades, have almost extended the life expectancy by 60%. It is for the first time right now that the Indian population moves into a longevity on the 7th decade. We are the only country on the face of the planet who, in a matter of 3 decades, have improved infant mortality by a factor of 200%. And it will be your job, the young people of India, to take this mission forward when science will come down and apply itself in the lives of the common man of our country. And the country looks forward to you to fulfill this dream. Vaccination is one item in the agenda, and all of you put your brains behind and take the society and country forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And yes, very truly said, we are looking forward to the next generation, the younger ones, because many things are dependent on you. And now the time has arrived to listen to the chief guest for today, Padma Shri Professor Dr. Balram Bhargava. But before we hear him, I think we need to prepare. Please give us some time. I will request all our dignitaries to please go back to your seat, and sir, you please stay back.
ठीक है चेयर हटा आई एम स्टैंडिंग नो प्रॉब्लम ओके गो अहेड आई थिंक यू कैन स्टार्ट ये हटाते रहेंगे
অবস্ট্রাকশন টেবিলটা লাগবে না শুধু উপরে জিনিসগুলো সরিয়ে
बस टेबल रहने दो
हाँ
चलिए
Okay, please settle down. Now we are almost ready. Now a very brief introduction of Padma Shri Professor Dr. Balram Bhargav. We all know him. He has been the leader in the fight for COVID. So he is a renowned cardiologist and clinical scientist and public health leader, best known for his instrumental role in India's response to COVID-19 pandemic. As a Director General of Indian Council of Medical Research and Secretary of Department of Health Research, he led the country's scientific and medical efforts during one of the most challenging health crises in the modern history. Under his leadership, ICMR spearheaded key initiatives including COVID-19 diagnostics, surveillance, treatment protocols, and vaccine development. He was the forefront of facilitating the rapid development and deployment of indigenous vaccine like Covaxin, the story of which we are going to see in our exhibition. Now I would like to welcome Professor Dr. Bhargav to deliver his keynote address. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your kind words. Dignitaries, illuminaries, dear friends, today I will take you back to COVID 5 years back. And before we do that, I will play a small video, which is a trailer of the movie called The Vaccine War, which
हाँ सुना मैंने क्या हुआ आपके साइंटिस्ट के पास 1 लाख रुपए भी नहीं थे
मेरे नहीं सर भारत के साइंटिस्ट
मैंने फैसला किया हम वैक्सीन बनाएंगे तब तक हमारे लिए ये प्रोजेक्ट टॉप सीक्रेट रहेगा और नेशनल सिक्योरिटी
क्या इंडिया का मेडिकल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर 130 करोड़ लोगों की जान बचाने में समर्थ है? तो अगर एक्सपर्ट्स की बात मानी जाए, नो, इंडिया कांट डू इट।
इंडिया कांट डू इट, ये नैरेटिव कौन बना रहे हैं एंड व्हाई?
हमें ये लड़ाई नहीं लड़नी हमारी लड़ाई वायरस के साथ
क्या ये वायरस नेचुरल म्यूटेशन है
या रिवर्स इंजीनियरिंग से लैब में बनाया गया है?
वैक्सीन 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 के अलावा भी हमारी कोई लाइफ है
वैक्सीन नहीं है ना तो लाइफ ही नहीं है।
सृष्टि से पहले सत नहीं था, असत भी नहीं, अंतरिक्ष भी नहीं, आकाश भी नहीं था।
Going to die, I know. You're not going to die, girls. We are scientists. You know? हमारे लैब में हम लोग इतनी सारी औरतें क्यों? Because we are brave. We can do it.
वॉर है ये और हम सब सोल्जर्स सोल्जर का काम होता है कमांड देना किसकी कमांड अपने जनरल की कौन है आपका जनरल इधर देखो आज के बाद अर्जुन की तरह हमें सिर्फ मछली की आंख दिखनी चाहिए सिर्फ मछली की आंख
एक राजा था जो भी कर लो मरता ही नहीं था उस राजा की जान एक तोते की गर्दन में अटकी है तोते की गर्दन मरोड़ थी और राजा मर गया हमारे राजा की जान इस वैक्सीन में अटकी
अब बताओ वैक्सीन बनेगी या नहीं
सर बहुत जल्दी बनेगी सबसे पहले बनेगी और सबसे ज़्यादा सुरक्षित बनेगी। भारत की एकमात्र इंडिजिनस वैक्सीन, भारत की अपनी वैक्सीन।
So I will request you to see the film. You will enjoy it. It is a tribute to our scientists, our women scientists particularly, who were instrumental in developing this vaccine. And in the next 15 to 20 minutes, I will tell you the story of how we tried to work on this vaccine. And is this working? Yeah. So I come from the Indian Council of Medical Research, which is one of the oldest science research bodies, which was established in 1911. And this was responsible for domiciliary treatment for tuberculosis, for the polio vaccine in the early 60s, the trial, protein energy malnutrition, the trial of oral rehydration therapy, India's first test tube baby, the second one in the world, and also the double fortified salt, which has affected millions and benefited a large population. So this is the Indian Council of Medical Research, which started in 1938 with the Kala Azar. Nobel Prize for that was given to, for the malaria survey, Nobel Prize was given at that point in time, and the Kala Azar cycle to Lashmiya Donovan in 1942, and they all worked with the Indian Council of Medical Research with its footprint of 27 institutes, 50 field stations, nearly 1,000 scientists, and more than 25,000 employees, technicians who have helped fight the population of India with several public health problems. So now, before I move to what happened, the Indian government approach to the COVID pandemic was science-driven. It was purely connected with calibrated, proactive, and preempted and a graded response. So I take you back on the 31st of December, China announced, 2019, China announced there is a peculiar virus which is killing a lot of its citizens. On the 7th of January 2020, the Government of India, WHO, Ministry of Health, ICMR convened a meeting that there is a peculiar virus which has affected countries like China and some countries in the West, and we need to work on this. So it was decided that we should start public screening of people who are traveling back to India and do a thermal screening of people who had fevers. So that was decided on the 7th of January 2020. Now 26th of January 2020, we had a medical student who traveled from Wuhan to Hong Kong, Hong Kong to Calcutta, Calcutta to Bangalore, Bangalore to Cochin, and then by bus to her hometown. And next day she developed fever. 27th of January, we tested her and she was found to be COVID positive by the regional laboratory in Alappuzha in Kerala. We had to retrace all the contacts right up to Calcutta who had traveled with her and isolate them at that point in time. The next day, we took the sample and confirmed it at the National Institute of Virology in Pune. And once it was confirmed it's COVID-19, we declared it to the government that the virus has entered our shores. And that was a real point of worry at that point in time. And the government swung into action immediately. They formed several scientific groups under the Cabinet Secretary, then the group of secretaries meeting under the Cabinet Secretary, then the group of ministers meeting, and ultimately the leadership who was doing a meeting with all the chief ministers every 2 weeks, initially physically, and later on it was So the 10 COVID highlights that the ICMR has done are the countrywide scaling up of testing network. We had only one laboratory, National Institute of Virology in Pune, that was immediately scaled up to 3,000 laboratories. Diagnostic kits, and I congratulate the youngsters like you who developed diagnostic kits immediately in a matter of weeks. We had positive diagnostic kits. We asked the WHO, they gave us 10,000 kits for a population of 1.4 billion. These youngsters developed these startups and they developed these kits, and by February, March, we had enough kits, and by April, May, we were exporting them to many parts of Africa and East Europe and also to Europe. And we had asked China for those kits. They gave us a handful of kits and said, if you do not buy within the next hour, we will divert them to some other country. And many of them turned out to be faulty, and we had issues with those kits as well. So I congratulate the youngsters who developed these startups and these kits. So diagnostic kit self-sufficiency to 100%. We did the nationwide sero survey. I'll come to that. We developed the indigenous vaccine and the isolation of the virus, and also the preclinical animal studies and all the clinical research papers, and the diagnostic public health awareness advisories, and also the use of drones, which I will talk about. Here I want to pay tribute to one of my predecessors who developed the BSL-4 laboratory in Pune at the National Institute of Virology. Here, this was developed in 2010-11, where all the viruses are stored in a heavily guarded security, except the smallpox virus, which is only in Moscow and in Washington, D.C. The rest of the viruses are here, and they are stored in, and a repository is there. This BSL-4 laboratory is the first BSL-4 laboratory to be set up in Southeast Asia. The second one was the infamous Wuhan lab, which was set up in 2017. So again, salute the predecessors who thought about setting up a BSL-4 laboratory way back in 2010-11 so that we could fight this virus, culture the virus, and play with that virus to develop vaccines and also to develop treatments for the same. So we were the 5th country in the world to isolate the Wuhan virus. We were wanting the virus, but many of the international agencies were unable to give the virus to anyone because they had very limited stock. We had 15 Italian tourists who were visiting us in the month of February 2020, and they were traveling from Agra to Jaipur to Jodhpur and Delhi. And once they were in Agra, they developed COVID, and we were able to shift them all to Delhi. All the 15 tourists got their samples, cultured the virus, and we were able to isolate the virus. And once we had the virus, sky was the limit. This was on 9th of March that we had the virus with us in 2020, and we were the 5th country. We were the first country to culture the alpha virus, and then the beta and the delta virus, and they were all published in scientific literature. So this is the testing. In February, we had limited testing facilities, but the pandemic, the biggest advantage that we have in India was that our pandemic was about 3 to 4 months later than what was happening in the Western world. So we had that 3-month advantage, which we utilized, and I will talk how we utilized. In April, we developed the TrueNat test, which was the molecular testing, which was developed for tuberculosis, and we had tested more than 900 million samples, and all the tests were done at the cost of $1 or $2 per test. $1 for the rapid antigen test and $2 for the RT-PCR test. We were able to repurpose the RT-PCR testing, the portable one, which was used for tuberculosis, which was developed by young scientists in the 2010 at the Indian Institute of Science, later on funded by the CSIR ICMR Department of Biotechnology, got a WHO pre-qualification for TB testing in 2018, and we had more than 8,000 of those machines across the country, which were immediately repurposed by them in 2 weeks' time for COVID testing. And so this was very useful. Suddenly we had 8,000 machines available for testing COVID-19, and we also got BSL-2 laboratories in all our 550 odd medical colleges. So now, once we had the virus on 9th of March, before that we had several meetings of the group of secretaries and the group of ministers, and we were all talking what would be our strategy. We emphasized tremendously on them that please impose travel ban on all international travel, because we are not so well prepared in terms of infrastructure. we don't want the curve to go up like that. We want to distribute the curve so that we get time, so that we can spruce up our health resources, intensive care units, oxygen, masks, PPE kits, etc. So on the 10th of March, the Cabinet Secretary asked me that, can you give a suggestion on a piece of paper what should be the strategy for the nation for COVID-19? We discussed amongst ourselves at the ICMR, and we had a national task force which we had created, and we had informed that national task force to the Supreme Court that this will be guiding the country for COVID-19, and that we wrote 2 points: stop all international travel and impose a nationwide lockdown so that we could get time to prepare and improve our resources. I gave this to the Cabinet Secretary, and immediately he looked at it and he said, you people have tremendous clarity in mind, only 2 points on an A4 sheet when I asked you to give us something. Anyway, he said, that is fine, these points are okay, but you will have to make a presentation to the leadership. On the 17th of March, we were requested by the leadership, myself, the Health Secretary, the Principal Secretary, and the Cabinet Secretary, and we made a presentation of 5 slides to the leadership. And he said, will India go exactly like this? Because at that time, Italy was burning, United Kingdom had several deaths, there was problems in Iran, there was Sweden which was struggling with herd immunity and other issues. So it was a huge problem at that point in time. We told him, yes, we will go in the same direction, and if we get time, we will be able to develop our resources. He listened carefully and he said only one statement, that only science can fight this war. I don't want any other thing to happen, and it has to be led by science. That was the end of that meeting, and the next day he imposed a public awareness, and 3 days later we had a nationwide lockdown for 9 weeks. And during that lockdown, the Indian Council of Medical Research became the epicenter, and we had about 40 scientists from different institutes who had come to the ICMR guest house who were helping out, and they were captive in that guest house for 3 months whilst we were fighting COVID in the very initial days. We had the Indian Railways, the Indian Air Force, India Post, the Research Analysis Wing, Intelligence Bureau, all helping us out with sending kits to different parts of the country for testing. At that point in time, February, March, we didn't have too much of COVID. We had a first wave in June of 2020, which had affected Delhi, and at that point in time, we were the first country to utilize the rapid antigen test after Korea for testing COVID-19. Large numbers, and again, startups, youngsters who developed these small companies to set up this COVID testing. So our lockdown was a very balanced one. We didn't have the draconian lockdown, or we didn't have the very lax lockdown that we saw in many parts of the world. And during the lockdown, our mantra was to keep our windows open, listen to what is happening in different parts of the world, and consolidate and develop a strategy which is India-centric, relevant for a population like ours. Another little small story that I want to tell was in February of 2020, when we had very limited number of cases. We had about 6,000 of our Shia pilgrims who were visiting Kumbh in Iran, and we had from Kargil, and we had to get them immediately. We got a request from the government of India that please send 6 of your scientists immediately to Iran and set up a testing laboratory there. We had to take a full hood for biochemistry, for testing, and all the equipment to Iran within 24 hours with 6 of our technicians and scientists who went to Tehran. At that time, Tehran was burning. They had limited testing facilities, so we couldn't set it up in Iran, in the city of Tehran. So we set it up in the basement of the High Commission of India in Tehran, and all the samples were collected there and tested, and all those who were negative were flown by special flights, and these special flights were used for airlifts from Wuhan, from Singapore, from Middle East, Europe. Not only Indian citizens, but citizens from our neighboring countries were all brought back by these special flights. And we got those, and The month of February, North India, it was freezing cold and we had to set up quarantine centers, and the Indo-Tibetan Border Force, the Indian Army, the Defense Services set up quarantine centers at Hindon Air Force Base, Jaisalmer Air Force Base, Jodhpur Air Force Base, and these people were brought back by these flights from different parts of the country for quarantine. Blankets were provided, foods had to be provided, water, shelter, everything, and that was done by the Indian Army and the Indo-Tibetan Border Force. Now, before I come to the vaccine, there were, in terms of therapy, there were three important discoveries that happened in the world. Number one was the recovery trial, which clearly demonstrated that steroids reduce mortality in COVID-19. That was by the United Kingdom. The second trial was by the World Health Organization, also done in India, called the Solidarity Trial, which showed that remdesivir reduces the hospitalization from 11 days to 7 days. This was a randomized trial. The third was a randomized trial which was done by India, which was done clearly, which demonstrated that in 39 hospitals across, during the lockdown, across the country, they were done in district hospitals. This randomized trial was not done in large research centers, but was done in small hospitals, and we clearly demonstrated that convalescent plasma did not lead to reduction in progression to severe COVID-19 or death from COVID-19. So convalescent plasma, which was being touted as the magic therapy in many parts of the world, including the United States of America, we clearly demonstrated to the world by a randomized trial that it is not working. And this was published in the British Medical Journal with 2 editorials clearly commenting on how India democratized research. Now, once we had the virus, we developed the antibody kit for testing the antibodies, and this kit was developed during the lockdown from Ahmedabad to Pune by road. People used to travel, the scientists used to travel twice a week, develop those plates of ELISA kits, and these ELISA kits were used for the sero survey. And in May, June, once we had the first peak in Delhi, it was shown that 99.3% of the population, it was only 0.7%. So 99.3% of the population was still vulnerable for COVID-19. We gave these results to the government of India. They were a bit upset about it, that how we are going to declare that everyone is still vulnerable. We said, please declare it to the whole population that 99.3% is still vulnerable, and promote the use of masks. And this appealed to the government tremendously, and we were able to use the masks. And again, here I would like to congratulate our citizens of India who listened to these advisories, who used the masks, and who followed all the advisories to the T and helped in preventing the pandemic. Now, the development of the vaccine, this was before we developed the vaccine, we had 2 pathways. One approach was to test the Chaddox vaccine in India, which was the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, develop it in large quantities for the whole world. And the second was to develop an indigenous vaccine, which was called the Covaxin, and that was also developed in India. So when we had the virus on the 9th of March, we gave the virus to the Bharat Biotech International on the 31st of March, after signing an MOU and after an agreement. And then on the 1st of May, they gave us 3 vaccine candidates, which we tested on rats and developed and tested the safety, immunity, and also the dosage of those 3 vaccines. Then we had done some hamster studies and also showed, and this is all happening during the lockdown. Then we had to test them in monkeys. Now, at that time, there was a lockdown. There were no monkeys available. There have been no breeding facilities in India for monkeys, and this problem of animal activists. So we had to capture those monkeys from the wild. Now, we got permission from the government to capture 20 monkeys for the study, and we couldn't capture them in the cities because there was no food, there was no lockdown. They had moved to the forests. So we went to the forests on the Telangana border, Karnataka border, and in a matter of 2 weeks, we captured 20 monkeys. We got those monkeys to the BSL-4 laboratory in Pune. We tested them for their health. We did their x-rays, we did their, all their biochemistry, and once we found they were healthy monkeys, we took them up for the studies. Now, these 20 monkeys were then, at that time, we also received few phone calls and letters from animal activists that, Dr. Bhargav, I am told that you're going to capture monkeys. I told them, no, I am not going to capture monkeys. I had already captured them. So I said, I'm not going to capture monkeys. Ashwatthama Hato, the same story. So that we captured those had already. And we studied these monkeys at the ICMR NIV Pune. Now we had to give them the virus inside the bronchioles. We vaccinated those monkeys, and then we had to anesthetize those monkeys and do bronchoscopy and give the virus. Now who will do the bronchoscopy of the monkeys during the lockdown? We immediately, by an Indian Air Force plane, we flew one of our pulmonologists from Delhi to Pune, again in the ICMR guest house in Pune, and we got two scientists from CTC Pune from the Army Hospital. They also sent their pulmonologists. They stayed with us for 4 weeks till these experiments were over. So anesthetized monkeys, vaccinated monkeys, given the virus, and every day a lavage was taken from the bronchus to see whether the virus has grown or not. And lo and behold, we found that the virus is not growing in the vaccinated monkeys. And that was the turning point for all of us to realize that this vaccine is working in vaccines, in monkeys, and we could probably move to humans. So pre-pandemic, the vaccines were available for $2,000 per animal from China. And all the vaccines that have been tested on monkeys have been tested on monkeys from China, which have been exported to either UK or to the USA, and very few countries have limited breeding facilities for monkeys. During the pandemic, it was impossible to get these monkeys. After the pandemic, we found that each monkey was available for $20,000, and there was an alternate market created by Vietnam, Cambodia, and other countries. And fortunately, during the pandemic, we set up 2 monkey breeding facilities in India, one in Hyderabad and one is Pune, and which are fully functional, and we are breeding these monkeys, and we have enough resources of monkeys for testing for vaccines. So yeah, I'll come back. Yeah, so this was the paper which was published in the Nature, and when we sent the paper for publication to Nature, we had some people who had written from India to the journal that these were not from a breeding facility and this paper should not be published. India working against India, we have seen that story many times, and we demonstrated. We sent all the health certificates of all the monkeys, the x-rays and the biochemistry tests to the journal, and ultimately they published it. And then they had the phase 1, phase 2 and the phase 3 study which was published in the Lancet. So this is the timeline. Within 9 months we were able to develop the vaccine, and as mentioned very correctly, on 16th of January 2021, exactly 29 days after the West had started their vaccination, we started our vaccination program. Now, India is known as the pharmacy of the world, but now with the development of the vaccine, it is well established as a vaccine superpower with huge industries like Serum Institute and several other vaccine manufacturers in the country. We have demonstrated to the world that we are. Now this slide I like to show very often because this is 1947. This is Bombay Port, and that is the High Commissioner of Canada giving a box of medications to the first Health Minister of India, Rajkumari Amrit Kaur, at the Bombay Port. And this is after the Second World War, and this is nothing other than penicillin, one box of penicillin. And this led to the development of Hindustan Antibiotics and other antibiotics companies, and we were exporting antibiotics to the entire world. This happened in 1947, and in 2021, we exported the vaccine to more than 100 countries, including Canada. So the vaccine development, it was very critical and timely government support from funding, from preclinical studies, clinical studies, laboratory studies, epidemiological studies, rolling review, advanced purchase orders, at-risk manufacturing, raw material import, and expedited batch testing, which worked phenomenally well for India. Can we go to the next one? Next, please. This doesn't seem to be working. Yeah, we can go ahead further. Yeah. So we had this national task force which was guiding the government. This was informed to the Supreme Court of India, guiding on developing protocols and which way the research has to be pursued, etc. So these were the all the management protocols translated in 14 languages across the country. And here again, what would happen was that we would sign the order for these protocols at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. in the evening. By 12 p.m. in the evening, we used to write on the order to all principal secretaries and chief secretaries of all states and all union territories of India. By 12 p.m., 12 in the midnight, it would go to all of them, and 9 a.m. the action would start. And here again, I would like to salute the bureaucracy of India, how well-oiled machinery it was, that it was able to carry out these to the entire country phenomenally well. This is publications, this is the mask, nothing about that. Now we know that we had 3 databases, and here I want to tell one small story. We had the ICMR database, which is the testing database for more than I think 1 crore population, 100 crore population. And we had the COVID or the vaccination database, which talked about more than 200 crore doses of the vaccine. And this database was called COVID Vaccination India Network, COVIN. And we made the presentation to the leadership that we are going to have this database called COVIN. He said, no, remove that V, make it W, we are going to win. Within a matter of 10 seconds, the leadership said, don't call it COVIN, VIN, call it COWIN, COVIN. And this was the COVIN database, which was the network. And here we've shown that during the Omicron, 92% of the deaths that occurred were people who were unvaccinated, which were a very small number. Next. Yeah. And we had well established, we talked about the immunization. Dr. Kunal mentioned how our immunization network has been immunizing for the last 60 years. We immunize more than 28 million newborn every year. And we have 28,000 cold chain points and 350,000 ASHA workers, which we utilized the same universal immunization program for COVID vaccination, and were able to give more than 2 billion doses of COVID vaccination. Next. Next, I think we can skip that because next. Yeah. This is a mobile BSL-3 laboratory, which was developed by the person who's developed the first BSL-4 laboratory in India in 2010. And this was is utilized for the meningitis in Gorakhpur and also for Nipah in Kerala, and was driven from Gorakhpur to Paro, Bhutan at the World Health Assembly in Southeast Asia, and demonstrated to all the health ministers. Next, please. And all the health ministers that it is as part of soft diplomacy is being given to all of these countries. Next, please. Now, the last point I want to talk about, and I'll take another 2-3 minutes, is the ICMR drone response and outreach in the Northeast. This is beautiful Northeast, the 7 states and Sikkim, and here we had to deliver the vaccines at that point in time. And we were the first country in the world to send vaccines by drones. Now, these drones were tested in the Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur, which has an airfield base. And they were tested for their temperature and monitoring, and etc. was all done at Kanpur, and then these drones were utilized. Now, in Manipur, there is the largest freshwater lake of Asia called the Loktak Lake. On the middle of the lake, there is a small island called Karang. And in Karang, there is a primary health center with a population of 3,000. It would have taken 26 kilometers by road, 3 kilometers by boat, 2 kilometers walking, minimum 3 to 4 hours to take the vaccine from Bishnupur to Karang. And this was sent by drone in a matter of 12 to 15 minutes for the first time in the world, and these drones were utilized not only in Manipur but in other parts of the Northeast for vaccination. Next. So the vaccines were transported from hill to valley, from hill to hill, from land to island, land to land, land to foothill, from foothill to land, and from valley to valley. And next, please. Yeah.
Now the helicopter is landed. You'll see now there's a release mechanism where the release is in. And you see the helicopter, the medicine is active.
So this is how the vaccine was transported, with a release mechanism left there and then picked up by the primary health worker and given the vaccination within a matter of hours. Next, please. So this is a small cartoon which one of my scientists made, that the virus has gone to a very small island, and says that now the vaccine is not going to come here, and suddenly you have the drone coming with the vaccine. Next, please. I salute my 28 scientists and technicians who lost their lives during this COVID-19 and pay tribute to them and remember them for their very hard work and dedication for saving millions of lives of this nation and also of different parts of the world. Next, please. Thank you for your attention, because attention is the rarest and purest form of generosity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for narrating this story. So I think you can please take your seat. I would now like to request our director, Sri Anurag Kumar, to give his Thanksgiving address.
Good afternoon. I saw the film Vaccine War a few months ago. Today I read the script. It is indeed a great honor and privilege for me to propose the vote of thanks on behalf of Science City and National Council of Science Museums on this momentous occasion of the inauguration of the traveling exhibition, Vaccine Injecting Hope. At the outset, I extend my deepest gratitude to the Padma Shri Professor Balram Bhargav, the former Director General of ICMR, from whom you have just heard the story of vaccine war in India. His keynote address definitely might have motivated many of you to take up science as a career, I'm sure, and public health also as an important factor in fighting so many diseases. I'm grateful to Dr. Roger Highfield, Director of Science Museums Group, London, for his inspiring word and for the fruitful collaboration that brought the globally acclaimed exhibition to India. A special word of thanks to Professor Partha Pratim Majumdar, the National Science Chair of Government of India, who has not only delivered his lecture today, but also served as the chairman of the content committee of this exhibition. His scholarly guidance and leadership has given pivotal role in shaping the intellectual and scientific depth of this exhibition. We are deeply thankful to Dr. Madhumita Roy, Dr. Debanjan Chakrabarti, and Dr. Kunal Sarkar for their gracious presence and valuable address, enriching the occasion and their diverse perspective on science, health, and outreach. I also sincerely thank Sri Aridhi Datta Chaudhary, Director General of National Council of Science Museums, and Sri Shamarendra Kumar, Deputy Director General of NCSM, for their leadership and commitment for fostering this international collaboration. Well, there have been many people who have contributed to this exhibition, to the making of this exhibition, and it was really impossible for me to take names of all the individuals, but Mr. Samarendra Kumar has already taken a lot of names. So skipping the names, I would like to mention some of the institutions who have contributed to the success of this exhibition. And of course, the main collaborator, the Welcome Group, who has financed this exhibition, the Science Museums Group London, who has initiated making this exhibition in collaboration with NCSM, the ICMR for the great support that not only ICMR Delhi, but its institutions like NIV and other institutions has given to this exhibition, the All India Institute of Medical Sciences for their support, the World Health Organization, the United Nations Development Program, British Council, and many other institutions and individuals who have contributed generously to the development of this exhibition. I also extend my thanks to the team of National Council of Science Museums and Science City for the technical support that they have provided for development of this exhibition and the setup of this exhibition at different venues. Finally, I extend my thanks to the print and electronic media and the social media for constantly supporting the cause of communication of science done by Science City and by NCSM and its units. Let the exhibition continue to inspire hope, trust in science, and global unity to face the challenges. Thank you once again. With this, we end the inaugural program here, but immediately after this, we'll walk down towards the exhibition hall. We have a mobile exhibition van waiting for us for flagging off, because that van has to leave immediately to go out of Kolkata to the rural areas. So we'll first flag off the van, and then we'll get the exhibition inaugurated formally. So you are all welcome to the exhibition venue. Thanks a lot.
স্যার একটু হোপটা ছেড়ে দিন স্যার প্লিজ স্যার হোপটা ছেড়ে দিন স্যার স্যার স্যার
Okay, how do we, more hands? Here we are. This week was not doing
This is all about the healthy cellular.
This is what we used to do.
Yeah, cellular hope. These are just to get insight to that. A lot of papers and all these things we collected from them. We have this section, all those different sections we have. But probably it will give you a recall of the incidents and things happening all across the globe, which is there. The earliest one, the top was 50.
It's interesting you're only at time to remember how awful it was.
No, but yeah, here the narrative was different. So it's for the good thing which are there, we are witnessing. So this takes you to the British Council. It's made of, in fact, the cast factor, the casket also. We go there and probably from there they will take the picture. And this is the
Yes.
Yeah.
We can take any little.
And if you see this,
Very interesting seeing
he is our technical team at that time, the curatorial team.
On the Eco Life Council.
Champion.
And there's the micrometer. So a lot of bits are also we also say that it's not the way pandemic. Many things happen prior to that. Correct. Yeah. It could be 15, 16. Yeah, you can see that. Yeah. This one was Russian film, Spanish film.
It has been introduced, but it was there during the camera.
And also spices are also kept there. So
Yeah.
And that's published also. But what kind of vaccines are there? You can explore, you can try with that. So yes, you can put it here. What are the ingredients? What are the things are there? Do you try any other? Using some technology. What is it? What are the ingredients? So we added that as well as what we know that what are the ingredients of the vaccine. So and then we have the voices from scientists because they thought that is what was the animation followed by supported by your interview of this. Yeah. And that's why because of this we went to NIV Pune and saw the case of whole lab and all. And what happens to this exhibition? You know, after this over, sir, we'll make it and try to put up in
smaller centers where others do not have
Yes, that's why they are the portable. Yes. These are the things that are collected from the NIV. Because it was lying there. This is really interesting. Get some time from it. And we took that vials of that vaccine to make for trial. So she from that there was one trial like that. What was the thing they faced while taking that trial? We took the permission and shot them. Probably have yeah, that's it. So that film was there, and probably we have shared that film also.
You know, we're making this Institute India. We will collect the reactors for our update because we think it's such really because they keep on giving us this excuse they're using it to make vaccines.
Same uniform that he was wearing.
Okay, so that's all the to go with
It's a cool.
that's why you put it on the spot.
photograph just converted into, yeah, this happened. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Infections that we get, and for the betterment of public health, vaccines are an absolute.
স্যার একটু ব্যানার দিই স্যার, একটু ব্যানারটা দিয়ে ছেড়ে দিন। হ্যালো,
Our ministry has one called the National Culture Fund.
Okay. It was created for that purpose.
It was created for that purpose.
We are here again.